The tank. Once it was thought to be outdated, and yet it's 2024 and here we are. So let's have a look at a couple of upcoming tank games. Things that revolve around potentially building your own tank, commanding your own tank, either in the cupola itself or in a more overhead perspective. Starting off, Arms Trade Tycoon tanks. Yes, the Arms Trade Tycoon tanks does imply that there might be others to this series, but this one is purely about the tank. You're starting your factory around 1915, 1918, so just around World War I. When the tank was first introduced, of course, and this means that you're going to be starting out with just a factory and a little bit of a tech tree, and from there it's pretty much good luck. You have a limited budget, and with that budget you'll have to do research, you'll have to pay all your people to work for you, both in the research department and working on tanks. And all the while you're developing your own tanks by doing the research, making a new interesting design, and then trying to sell that design to any of the nations that might want tanks. Some of them might be a great hit, some of them might have a very poor result. The beauty about Arms Trade Tycoon is that you can iterate on all of those hits. The ones that do very well on the market, you can make those better. You can focus on giving them better armor, maybe better armor quality. You can make sure that they get a better engine, so they're going to be more mobile. But what if you don't have all the parts yourself? Well, that's where this game has reverse engineering. Sometimes a nation that is friendly to you might capture a tank, a trophy tank. And if you buy that, you can then reverse engineer it, tear it apart, use the parts for your own tanks. And that is when this game really comes into its own, the designer. Because you can make all sorts of weird and wonderful creations regarding tanks. Right now, the game is in early access, and that means we are just shy of the interbellum update, so let's say 1920 to 1940. After that, it's going to go on to the Cold War. So we're going to have tanks spanning from the World War I all the way to the Cold War. And over there, well, what you build, how you build it, how you armor it, how you give it mobility is entirely up to you. You could have a Panzer IV with a Char 1 bis turret, if you will. You could have a Tiger tank. Maybe the turret will fit on the M4 Sherman. We'll just have to see what sort of miscreants you can come up with and what the game will allow. Once you have your tank actually designed, you can then take that tank for a test drive yourself. Right now, this test drive means that you'll be able to throw the tank around the tracks, make sure that it has really decent target acquisition, can go through various targets, and all of those do give you a bonus when you're trying to sell the tanks to your customers. Arms Trade Tycoon tanks. I've already had fun with this game and I'm very much looking forward to playing more of it. If you're more interested in jumping right into the action as the tank commander itself, Sherman Commander might be for you. Sherman Tank Commander is a game that places you in World War II right in the thick of it. You are the tank commander of a Sherman. And not just the tank commander of a Sherman, you're leading a platoon. This means you're responsible for your own tank while you're also trying to coordinate the efforts of your other Shermans. You'll also have to keep them in mind, but when you're under heavy fire, good luck trying to manage the other tanks. Thankfully, you can just give them orders, they will carry those out, but it's not a perfect, let's say, heads-up display or overview. You are going to be able to command these troops, as you can see, using some of the map, but that's about it. The game also does wonders for the immersion by showing you how the tank commander might have a view. You already saw the map, but you're also going to be just looking through viewports, the rangefinder, and, well, if you're very brave, you can sit outside the cupola with the hatch open. You can sort of see how that's going to work in this dev post. You're going to be able to either be outside of the turret, but of course in a combat situation, good luck with that. You'll be able to use the viewports, the rangefinder, or one of the periscopes, and that's about all you'll have. So your visibility is kind of limited, which I think does wonders for the immersion that this game is going to offer. From what I've seen so far in the various dev blogs, as well as the little bit of gameplay that we get every now and then, I'm very interested in playing this game. Destructible terrain, commanding your tanks, using your own tank to the best of your abilities. There's going to be a lot that you need to manage during this game, and I'm looking forward to the challenge. So that is Sherman Commander. If you're into modern warfare, then Broken Arrow is definitely going to be for you, as it very heavily features all sorts of tanks with all sorts of armament, as well as armor. It's a tactical game that allows you to have a very impressive array of tanks, vehicles, aircraft, and most of these, if not all of these, you can customize. The game is focusing on tactical combat, not so much base building. You don't really do that. So you're just using your units, and it's world in conflict-like in that sense. What makes Broken Arrow really stand out is just how much you can customize. Before you're going into battle, you can really customize your tank to your heart's content. And of course, this is going to have cons and pros. The cons, well, your tank's going to be more expensive. You might not be able to afford as many of them. The pros, you can have this thing be very, very heavily armored, have active protection systems, knocking down enemy missiles, and you can do this for all the vehicles in your game. So in this case, the Americans, at least from what I was able to play back in the day when the open beta was here, you had the M1A1 FEP all the way to the older M60 and everything in between. So you could customize those things, making them very much aligned with your playstyle. Maybe you wanted some more cheaper tanks. Maybe you want just a few tanks operating as the core, as the heart of your battle group. And those, of course, would have to survive. So making sure that those have all the armor, all the protective mechanisms, it's entirely up to you. At launch, Broken Arrow is expected to have the American and Russian battle groups. And again, these can be customized, but if the game does well, it's entirely likely that we'll be seeing more DLCs with other nations and, of course, their tanks. So I, for one, am looking forward to customizing, for example, Challengers, Leclercs, Leopards. I can't wait to play this game and just have a whole lot of fun playing with the customizer, as well as then using the units in combat and figuring out, oh, okay, maybe all that additional armor wasn't needed, or oh crap, I really did need all that additional armor. So that is Broken Arrow. Moving on, we have Armored Brigade II, a game that is very much more a simulator rather than the semi-arcadey nature that you might have seen in Broken Arrow. It's a real-time tactical war game taking place during the Cold War, and it offers you a massive sandbox experience, so you can command a whole lot of armored units from different nations. The game is known for its attention to detail. Everything from terrain effects to unit behaviors, and you'll have to plan your moves carefully. The game simulates everything from logistics to the fog of war. Of course, like most war games, it's not strictly tanks. You're not just commanding tanks, because tanks without reconnaissance are blind. Tanks without the ability to defend themselves from helicopters are going to be in a lot of trouble. And of course, having your own helicopters to deal with the enemy tanks might be safer and easier rather than using your own armor. So you'll have to command a lot more in this game. As for graphics and unit models, you can see that they're not as spectacular, I would say, as Broken Arrow. But then again, this is far more leaning into the simulator, and maybe you're not going to be as zoomed in as this most of the time, considering you're commanding, well, a brigade, not one tank. So I'd say the graphics in this game don't matter as much. The graphics in Broken Arrow matter a bit more because you're going to be a bit more closer to the action, and you definitely are not running a simulation. So you have more time for eye candy and to just admire the quality of your units. Another title that's currently in early access that's very much getting worked on is Gunner Heat PC, aka GHPC. It is a tank game where you are the tank commander again. You step into the role of the tank commander, the tank gunner, engaging targets in a realistic yet approachable tank battle. So it is not something that only the real hardcore actual tankers can play. You can also get into this game and pick it up and play for yourself. The game emphasizes the mechanics of tank warfare, such as ballistics and armor penetration, but it does so in a way that's easy to pick up and play. There's also a lot of different tutorial videos made by other content creators out there, such as the ones that deal with all the controls, how to set up your tank, how to position your tank, and of course I would highly recommend those if you're picking up, let's say, a slightly more complicated game such as this. As I did mention, the game is in early access, and what I really appreciate is that the devs are very active on Steam, constantly giving updates on what they're working on. There's usually a bit of new content every month, so while the game is not finished yet, they are very hard at work to keep developing this game keep making it better, keep adding more content. And with that, I expect that there's going to be plenty of stuff to play for the years to come. And there we have it. That's 5 tank games that are either in early access or coming up. All tank games that offer something unique, something that the other ones generally don't do. It's business simulation on the end of Arms Trade Tycoon. It's tactical warfare if you're looking at Armored Brigade II. It's taking control of a tank platoon in Sherman Commander. And of course, you are going to be able to control loads and loads of tanks in a game as Broken Arrow. Or just step right into the turret of the M1 or the T-72 in Gunner Heat PC. If there are any other games that you think I missed that should have been into this video, let me know down below in the comments. What is the game? When is it coming out? Or at least when is it slated to come out? Because sometimes developers don't strictly hit their deadlines. Looking forward to seeing what other games you can think of down below in the comments. Thanks for watching. I hope you are looking forward to these tank games as much as I am. And if so, well, let's play them together here on the channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon for more.